you do machine learning when you fail doing something else. No, this will not happen.
We want patient to express exactly his symptoms.
I want to go to the market very fast because it will impact my own health.
Developing new drug is very costly and very long, and especially for those chronic diseases.
Act as an entrepreneur of your life at every moment.
Bonjour, dear viewers. We're still in France and we have a magnificent guest today in our series of digital health interviews. His name is Djamchid Dalili. Hello, Djamchid.
Hello.
Let's start with a short intro, but actually before we get to your new startup, tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurship and experience before that.
My first experience in entrepreneurship was when I was 9 years old.
That's a long time ago.
Yes. I was on holiday with my grandmother in a working city in the suburb of Tehran in Iran, and I had 1 month to kill. Okay. It was not really holidays because I was going to take an examination for the school, and I had a lot of friends, and we started building kites, cerfs-volants. Okay, and I managed this with my friends, and I started selling the kites in the entrance of the Tehran Bazaar.
And that's how you made your first $1 million.
Million maybe not, but my first few euros.
Of course.
Or something.
Of course.
Okay, I remember this, but because it was a very exciting experience. Many years later, I started my first true big startup, and it was for the training of computer web developers. I guess it was in August or something. A friend of mine, around your age, he had his web agency, and he told me, I can't hire enough developers. I told him, put a short notice advertisement. No, you don't understand, Djamchid. There are not enough developers. And I told him, okay, let's train them. And half an hour later, we had the first idea of the bootcamp I was going to create 2 months later. I started that in September 2012. The first classroom was started in December 2012. And 10 years later, today, in 2022, we have trained above 10,000 students. So this is my first startup. It started rocket, like a rocket, but unfortunately in 2018 I was told that I had Parkinson's disease. That's a blow on the head. You have been working hard to make the dream company. For me, it was the dream company because it had a huge impact, huge social impact. That's what I was looking for. I was looking to take people who had not the opportunity to go through university curriculum when they started their adult life, and take these people and train them through a boot camp in a very short time and bring them to the workforce and be actors of their life and our country's life. I was really a very happy person, and all of a sudden, boom, blow on the head. You have Parkinson's disease, and I was imagining myself within 10 years becoming handicapped, and on the charge of my family and so on. So I told no, this will not happen. I have been a research engineer when young, a PhD in physics. I have been a rather successful entrepreneur. So I'm going to start a company to combat Parkinson's. I don't know how, but this is what I want. So I started thinking about Parkinson's disease and reading. I'm trying to understand what the disease is and what are the causes, what are the drugs, etc. And unfortunately, I discovered that there is no cure. And the last successful drug was discovered, put on the market 50 years ago, 50. And a lot of things have happened since then. Thousands of molecules have been tried and so on, with no result. And why that? So I was thinking, and as a manager, I told myself, how do you measure Parkinson's? Oh, there is just a test. The doctor asks you if you sleep well, if you have tremor, if you are depressed, and so on. And on the basis of such a oral test, the doctor says, okay, you are stable, or your state is worsening. And that's all. There is no IRM, no biological biomarker, and so on. So it is evident. It struck me that if you don't measure something, it can't get improved. Right. So I had found my way. I'm going to measure Parkinson's disease progression. And each year since 2018, I have been adding a new Parkinson's disease indicator in our company. Our company is called DiamPark, and the scientific basis of the company is the measurement of Parkinson's disease symptoms. Today, we are able to monitor Parkinson's disease progression with tremor, with phonation, with electroencephalogram, with typing pattern, with calligraphy movements, and so on. So we cover most of the motor symptoms and vocal symptoms of Parkinson's. And this scientific basis can be used in clinical studies by pharmaceutical companies or public research, so that the clinical trials of Parkinson's disease modifiers or neuroprotective drugs are accelerated. And at the same time, we can monitor patients in order to establish a communication link between the patient and the neurologist. because as a patient, we go to the neurologist 2 times every year, and it takes 10 to 20 minutes. How are you? Good. Have you been good? Well, I don't sleep well. And what else? Well, nothing. Oh, let me see your hands. Oh, you seem okay. So, same drug as before. Or, oh, it's worsening. I'm not well stabilized. Okay, you take 5 pills. Let's have it for 6 pills each day, and so on. So this is not satisfactory, because Parkinson's disease is when you have that, you are always changing. Your state worsens, and you need interaction with the doctor, and you need to have a full feedback to the doctor, so that the neurologist can adapt, or if it is changing very fast, you have to take additional steps. And so our app can help the patients and the caregivers and the neurologist and the orthophonist and the kinesiotherapist to work together and improve the patient care. This can also be done in healthcare facilities for the elderly people. This is what we do. Today we have an app on Google Store, on Apple Store, and we have also a watch app. So we have full monitoring of Parkinson's disease patients. For the time being, the app is free to download for anyone, but of course we are looking to monetize the app. It will always be free for the patients, but we have to monetize with public health providers and so on, with insurance companies, and other actors, with pharmaceutical companies, in order to build our business further.
Okay, this is a good introduction that covered 90% of my questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. I'm joking. So please tell us a bit about yourself and what's your position at DiamPark.
Okay. So I'm Caroline Atlani. I'm a medical doctor. I spent about 25 years in pharma companies, working in medical, marketing, commercial, public affairs, and let's say with many experiences in various therapeutic fields. I'm very proud and honored to work with Djamchid Dalili in DiamPark as a Chief Medical Officer.
First question is, what is the responsibility of Chief Medical Officer at a startup like this?
There are many dimensions, if I may. First is really understanding the ecosystem, and especially in France, where the regulation is very special. But now we are working also in the European organization, meaning that more and more we have some requirement from Europe to address some specific quality, performance, security requirements. So of course we are really addressing this very seriously and answering to this very seriously with our way to work and our way to, let's say, manage data. And that's something very structuring for all the team to address all these requirements from France and also from Europe. So this is the first part, well understanding the ecosystem, working with institutions, organizations. So this is the first part. The second part is really the medical community. And especially when we speak about Parkinson, the guest star is a neurologist. He's the one doing the diagnosis and also the treatment. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of caregivers who could be really empowered on this patient and disease management. We were speaking about, of course, the GP, who is key in the daily routine, but also the kinesiologist, but also the speech therapist, nutritionist. So there are a lot of people dealing with the patient in order to improve his quality of life. So the second part of my job is really to understand who are these key players and ensure that we will really address their own needs. For example, there are about less than 3,000 neurologists for about 200,000 patients in France. So how to create more autonomy for the patient, how to increase the efficacy of the consultation to ensure that during these 20 minutes, the neurologist will really get the most from the patient. So this is also part of my job, to ensure that we really work very closely with the neurologist and with all these key players taking care of the patient. A third part is really about science, understanding the state of the art. Where are we today with this kind of digital solutions? Where are we today with all these scientific progresses in terms of R&D? Because as previously mentioned, I mean, there are a lot of studies ongoing. Researchers are looking for new therapeutic approaches, not just addressing the symptoms, but really changing the evolution of the disease. And at the end of the day, today, there are no new solution to cure the disease. So it's important also to understand what are the key drivers for those researchers. For example, firstly, the doctor was the king in assessing the patient's symptoms. Today, the game has changed. We want patient to express exactly his symptoms. We speak about patient-reported outcome measures. And this is exactly what we do with DiamPark, which is helping the patient to collect his symptoms, and especially the more relevant and recent symptoms, which can change the way the doctor will take in charge of the patient. It's also about measuring, because sometimes, don't say the patient is denying the symptoms, but sometimes that's fine, but at the end of the day, not really. So to have an objective and clear way to assess the symptoms, especially phonation, but also the dyskinesia, but also the bradykinesia, but also the tremor is key. And this is exactly what we propose. So this is an important part of our job, to ensure that tomorrow we will play a key game in the acceleration of research and development for new treatments. That's also an important part of our job. And last but not least, the patients, because working with patients, and this is exactly what we do with the most important and famous patient association, patient organization. We co-design, we co-create, we test. So working with them is also a way to be sure that at the end of the day, not in front of a physician, but at home, the patient has the ability, the empowerment to be really fighting against the disease, and really, let's say, doing this exercise that we are proposing, testing his symptoms, collecting, and ensuring that he will be the most, let's say, expert to speak with a physician, explain exactly where he is, and at the end of the day, we really improve the quality of care, and at the end of the day, the quality of life of the patients. In a nutshell, this is what we do together.
So the beauty of this app is that a patient just needs the phone, right? And to measure all the biomarkers.
Yes.
And Is it being used only by patients in France right now, or already all over the world?
Today, the app is available in French. At the end of 2022, it will be available in 5 European languages, and we are willing to add any new language as soon as we have the right people to translate, because it is easy, and it will have the next week. We have the European certification for medical device. So it is open for the distribution all around Europe.
Okay.
And you mentioned this is an app. You only need a phone, Android or iOS, it's fine. It works on both. And optionally, you can have also a watch. Today it's just Android watch, Wear OS, but I think very soon we'll have also the iPhone watch. But you can limit yourself to the smartphone if you don't want to have a connected watch.
I assume you're already collecting some feedback from patients that are already using the app.
Right.
What are they saying?
Yeah, this is important because there are 3 key features, if I may, on the app. First is the pillbox. Having the script written and integrated in the app is also a way for the patient to have the alarm. This is something which is very important for the patient, because sometimes he can forget, and very, let's say, frequently we can see that the adherence to treatment is quite low. The patient is not exactly respecting the dose and the time for taking the pill. So this is a part very important to him, not just writing the time like this on a paper or notebook and forgetting it. No, he has it with his smartphone in the pocket every day. So it means that every day he can have the alert and ensure that he will take the pill, he or she, of course, will take the pill at the right time. This is something very appreciated by the patient, because it really gives a strong support to them in the daily life. Collecting these symptoms is something important, because at the end of the day, when he goes and sees the doctor, maybe he's not really exhaustive on what happened the last 6 months. So if there are some key, let's say, alarms in the symptoms, for example, confusions, for example, could be addictions, could be some, let's say, troubles, new troubles, for example, that about 50% can present a depression, so this is very important to track. So collecting these symptoms can be important, again, to improve the dialogue with the doctor. So that's also something important for the patient. And last, let's say, functionality that we propose is the rehabilitation exercise. So this is also very key, that the patient is autonomous. Today, in our country and maybe in others, very difficult to see some physiologist or speech therapist, very difficult. And so having this ability to train together, to train alone, and maybe, let's say, to train with other people, it's something key. So we want really to create communities of patients working together, and that's why also we are present in education, therapeutic education sessions to ensure that people can, let's say, speak with peers and, let's say, motivate themselves. And that's also the goal of our app and our program, to create a new motivation drive, a new engagement, to be sure that the patient will really drive his disease, and at the end of the day will be more, let's say, pushy, more proactive with the doctor, to be sure that he really benefits from the doctor, from the most, let's say, appropriate treatment to treat his disease.
Okay, so what is important in this case is the data that you collect, and then you analyze the data, right?
Sure.
So tell us a little bit about the machine learning that you use to analyze the data.
Okay. My conviction is that you do machine learning when you fail doing something else.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, because usually people are very excited about machine learning and it's wonderful, and artificial intelligence is much higher than human intelligence. But we use machine learning in one part of our application, but my specialty is ab initio modeling. I mean, ab initio meaning you start from first principles. And this was what I did as a physicist 40 years ago, and this is what I have repeated this time. So we take the sensors of the phone, we analyze the physical sensors, and it is correlated to the state of the Parkinson disease patient, and we have succeeded in doing the tremors part without machine learning. I can go into detail on that, how we did it, but this has been done. For the phonation, I mean by phonation that the patient tells "ah" for 5 seconds, and we analyze the voice, the phonation, and from that we can tell that the patient is worsening or improving and so on. For this part, we use machine learning because voice is something much more complex.
As far as I know, the Parkinson disease is so unique to each patient. So does it mean that it's much harder for machine to analyze the data because it's so different?
Absolutely.
How
yes.
do you solve this issue?
Okay. One model does not fit for all the patients. So our first patent was about multimodal appreciation of Parkinson's disease patients. And then we generalized that with individualized. A second patent is about individualized evaluation of Parkinson's disease patients. And we have been able to find the right parameters for each individual in order to transform the sensors into symptoms. And this has been done because we didn't limit ourselves to just the symptoms. We took also the drug intake data and the interaction between medication and the state of the patient. It is mathematically it is a little bit weird, but we did it.
Okay, great. How big is the team right now?
We are 4 people in the steering committee, full-time people. Caroline, who is our medical director. Myself, I'm the CEO, the founder, but mostly I am the scientific director. Alfredo, who is the CTO, and Armand, who is the business developer and the DPO. So we are 4 senior people and a team of 14 computer software engineers and UX project manager and so on. So altogether we are 18.
Okay. I guess usual question for each startup: where do you get the money? Do you sponsor part of it by yourself, or do you get external investors?
So we started with founders. So we have been 4 founders. I'm the majority owner, but I have some friends who had already invested in my previous company and who came again to build the heart of the second startup. And then we went for business angels. And then we went for public subsidies in France. So altogether we have put maybe 800,000 euros. That's not a lot of money, but it's enough for pre-seed. And today we are looking for 1 million, which is the amount we need for next year to accelerate our clinical trial. And then I guess we'll need 3 or 4 additional millions in order to be on our way to become a unicorn.
Okay. Are you gonna apply for multiple VCs around the world, or you're focusing on France first?
We are going to start the VC round at the end of the year. We have not yet started.
Okay.
Why? Because we think we have nice science. We have a good app. It has to be polished a little bit. It has to be certified. This will happen next week. And then we can go for the VCs.
Right.
And we'll be ready.
And as you said, right now the app is free for patients, but you are planning to monetize at some point through insurance companies?
Yes. Through in France, it is done by the state insurance, basic insurance provider, Sécurité Sociale. And in each European country, we have more or less the same kind of insurance coverage.
And what is, I think, really important and great for you is that France is working on the legal part of the reimbursement system, like Germany did,
yes.
The DIGA. So you're going to apply for that for sure, right?
Of course. And you are right mentioning that France and Germany have more or less the same system of reimbursement, and we have already met the French authority who gave us a huge push. Go on, you are on the right track, do this, and you have a nice track forward to follow. So it was a very nice encouragement, and that's why the team is very excited.
Okay, that's really good. I wish you good luck and get approved as soon as possible.
Yes.
To diagnose the progression of the disease is, of course, a very important part. But I know that you have lots of other plans in terms of your company. Can you tell us a few details?
Oh, these are prospective plans. Okay. So it is clear that once you can measure the progression of the disease, the next step is to try to stop the progression. So the very basic thing is to help during clinical trials, because today the problem is that you give a molecule to 100 patients, and you come back 5 years later and you have to measure whether they have worsened or stayed stable or improved. This is not a very fast track to have new drugs. What we provide is that in less than 1 year you can see if your drug has an impact on the progression of the disease. And of course, pharmaceutical companies are very interested in such a device, and at the same time, they want us to prove that this is right. And we have a proof of concept, not a full proof, which would take 5 years. So there is a paradox. You see, we have the measuring tool, but you need 5 years to prove that your measuring tool is correct. But we don't have 5 years left. In 5 years, I won't be able to have this conversation with you. I will be in a much worse state, both for speaking and probably I will have a lot of tremor, and I will be aching from everywhere and so on. So I haven't the solution yet for this paradox. What I hope is that in 1 year from now, we'll have enough patient data so that it will change the game and the vision the pharmaceutical companies have on our tools. So this is one goal, accelerate the elaboration of neuroprotective drugs.
I wanted to ask, since you've been working in pharma for a very long time, do you think the pharmaceutical companies are interested in speeding up that development of new drugs?
Developing new drug is very costly and very long, and especially for those chronic diseases. The way they assess, and let's say they assessed on the past, the drug was really based on what the doctor could see. So it means that we needed this consultation to ensure that the doctor can raise the new symptoms and ask the right question. But today we could see that from two important companies who submitted trials to the FDA, they have been said that this is not the right way to proceed. Now we want the patient-reported outcome measures. Now we want to see the impact on the daily life of the disease. And now we want to see exactly the effect of the therapeutic new drugs on the daily life of the patient, on the concrete experience of the patient in his life. So this is really a new paradigm, because it's not about the doctor saying that, reporting the symptoms. This is really the patient saying, "What I'm suffering from this." And this is really a new way. So, of course, having a remote monitoring, knowing what the patient is living at when he's at home, and not just during the 20 minutes of the consultation, this is a revolution. So we really bring this to the table to ensure that at the end of the day, we will get a clear view and an objective assessment on where the patient is with his disease, and the concrete answer to the treatment he's experiencing. And again, this is really new. So answering to you, I can't say that the pharma company are all driving this démarche, but when they are facing the authorities, and that's what I was mentioning, the FDA, they understand that this is not possible to do something else than having this concrete and continuous approach of what the patient is living with these new drugs. And this is so important to be here and to be a key player tomorrow on this game.
And another goal is to provide rehabilitation tools to patients. We have already rehabilitation digital tools for the speaking. So we have a little game the patient can use between two each week, each day, and each week he goes back to the orthophonist, to the speech specialist. But when the patient is alone, he or she can use our tool to train by himself. So rehabilitation of the voice, rehabilitation of the fine motor movements, and also at a later stage rehabilitation for the muscles. These are important tools for the day-to-day quality of life of the patients. The next step would be a virtual clinic. That we are really thinking about that because let's say in a country like Ukraine, Bulgaria, or anywhere, we can establish a virtual clinic with not only teleconferencing with the patients, but also using our technology to monitor all the patients with centralized, specialized neurologists that would provide a very high quality environment for the patients, and at the same time it would be very cost effective, because I don't know the situation in Ukraine, I'm sorry, but I know that in Bulgaria there are only very old physicians left, and there are a lot of needs. So this is one of my dreams, but I will only live once. So if I'm looking for other startuppers and other entrepreneurs to make a network in order to develop such ideas.
This is amazing. Well, first of all, good luck with all your plans. They seem like really valuable to all the patients. And second of all, the phrase speed to market right now in your startup sounds completely different in my mind, since usually startup founders are trying to speed up, I don't know, to beat a competitor, or to go to capture the biggest shares of the market. But in your case, it's speed to market is important because the product that you're building is going to impact your life, basically.
Yeah. Sure. Well, that was my first impulse. Was I want to go to the market very fast because it will impact my own health. But I know that it's too late for me. My brain will regenerate, maybe with new therapies which will come out of traditional research in stem cells or some such things within 10 years. And what I am focused on is to stop disease progression for the next generation of the patients, because today we are 6 or 7 million people suffering from Parkinson's disease in the world. If nothing is done, in 2030 will be 10 million. And now my goal is that we don't go to the 10 million number. I would like to provide tools so that we stabilize at 6 million, and maybe we go down, and also provide a better life for my companions of infortune.
I mean, I think every time the startup is is being created for some specific meaning, and usually I think in 80% of cases the meaning for startup founders is money, but in other 20%, I think the meaning is actually helping to bring the startup to life even faster and a better company. So yeah, I wish you sincerely luck with your company.
Thank you, thank you.
At the very end, we ask our guests to give some kind of recommendations to startup founders or entrepreneurs. What would you recommend them to do?
First of all, I don't address this only to startup founders or entrepreneurs. You are always the entrepreneur of your life. That's the first lesson of life. I have always been the entrepreneur of my own life. Even when I was working in public research, or I was working at any company, you take your own life in your hands, and this is the most important thing. Act as an entrepreneur of your life at every moment.
This is a perfect ending for our interview, so thank you very much.